As the party ventured deep into the dense, enchanted forest of the Feywild, the air began to grow thick with an ominous tension. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a deafening roar shattered the tranquility, causing the trees to tremble in fear, and emerging from the shadows with its monstrous form towering over them. This horrific creature with scales gleaming like polished armor and bulbous eyes ablaze with malevolence. It fixated its gaze upon the unsuspecting adventurers, with its massive claws digging into the earth with each step. Its wings unfurled ominously, casting a sinister shadow over the party, and they could feel the ground quake beneath them as the creature let out another bone-chilling screech. Its mouth is lined with razor-sharp teeth, and the bulbous eyes gleam with a multicolored spectrum of Feywild power. The party had unknowingly awoken the fierce creature known as the Jabberwock, and it is hungry for meat. Hello and welcome to Dungeon Deep Dive, where we talk about all things D&D monsters, from monsters and their lore to their publication history, where they originated and how you could use them in your D&D games. In today's video, we're going over the bug-eyed terrors of the Feywild skies, the Jabberwock. The Jabberwock is a 30-foot tall, sinewy-scaled, dragon-like creature of the Feywild. It is heavily armor-plated everywhere except for its soft underbelly. Its four-footed body is a dark muddy green above and a pale yellow below. The Jabberwock made its first appearance in D&D in the 1981 Dragon Magazine number 54 in the section called Beware the Jabberwock. But it has been well known in other writings outside of D&D, like for example Alice's Ventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. In the magazine they are described as huge reptilian beasts which inhabit light forests or broken wastelands. The creatures resemble dragons in some aspects and are occasionally mistaken for them in conditions of poor lighting. Jabberwocks, however, in the beginning, unlike in later editions, do not have its wings yet. They do still share some of the traits that other dragons have, like their uncontrollable desire to hoard treasure. They are also known to be solitary beasts, but can in very rare occasions be tamed from a young age. They do from time to time come and join in some of the same spaces as other Jabberwocks, but that would only be when it is time for their violent mating season. It states that Jabberwocks do have a point in time where they go into hibernation during cold periods for whatever place they call home. We also get some info in the magazine on what a lair of a Jabberwock would be like. Their lairs are often found in caves or underground caverns that house a moist, cool and dark environment, which is in fact a perfect environment for the eggs of the Jabberwock. During the mating and the laying of the eggs, unfortunately only one of the Jabberwocks will survive, and 9 times out of 10 it is the female that survives. Once the eggs are laid, they can take up to 5 years to hatch, and each egg is laid in a different area of the lair because when the young are born, it would eat the other unlaid eggs around it. Now the lifespan of the Jabberwock is near the same as a normal dragon, with each stage from wormling to young to adult being a period of 15 years. But no one knows how long a Jabberwock actually lives because no one has seen the true lifespan of the creature, and all Jabberwocks that have been kept in captivity end up dying within a month. In the first edition, if you were lucky enough to encounter a Jabberwock and even more unlucky enough to be swallowed on a natural 20 to hit, the rules state that you die instantly from the digestive juices. Any creature swallowed larger than a humanoid could survive the swallowing, but has a very high chance of losing a limb in the process. The Jabberwock has exceptional senses which give it the ability to never be surprised by attacks, and this is also aided with the ability to see any creature that is invisible. There seems to be only one thing that the Jabberwock fears, and that is someone who wields a vorpal weapon. Their hatred and fear for the weapon is so strong that they could detect the existence of a vorpal weapon within 1 mile of its location. Once the weapon has been found, then the Jabberwock will track the person holding the weapon tirelessly until the party decides to rest or sleep. Then the Jabberwock would attack, focusing on the person who has the weapon until they are slain. If the Jabberwock manages to slay everyone in the party, then it will take the vorpal weapon and make sure that it can never be used again and dispose of it at the bottom of it like a quicksand pit or some other inaccessible place. Moving on to 2nd edition, the Jabberwock appears in the AD&D 2nd edition Monstrous Compendium Annual Volume 3. In this book it is described as a curious creature found only in dense and virgin forests. They are again described as dragon-like in appearance and hoarding-like nature, but do have a habit of slaying anyone who is brave enough to intrude on their lair or prowling around their woods. We get a paragraph in the book about the dragon's burble attack. It states that the description of the Jabberwock is difficult to come by, as dazed survivors often retain only a confused impression of parts or not the whole creature. There is one sage, however, in 2nd edition that managed to study the Jabberwock before his death. He stated that it has a stout draconian torso with sturdy hind legs, long forearms, each ending in 4 feathery talons, each talon being some 4 feet long and fully prehensile. He said it has a long sinuous neck ending in an enormous head and a pair of elegant wings that it didn't have in first edition, and a long thin tail. The baleful yellow eyes had red pupils and actually emit beams of light said to be an unnerving sight when spotted approaching in a dark forest. Moss fills the tiny cracks between its scales, and it's possible that the feathery appendages hanging from its claws are actually parasitic growths similar to that of like Spanish moss. The scales themselves are tawny and the color of tarnished gold, darkening to a brown at its extremities. When it comes to the habitat, they are still classed as solitary creatures that treat all other beings as nothing but food. Except interestingly enough for druids, which it has a habit of just ignoring like they are part of the land, and as well as dryads, treants and forest gnomes. Even in first edition it stated that they had a whole mating season ritual, whereas in second edition it says that it is genuinely believed that, like the Tarask or Phoenix, only one Jabberwock exists at any one time, or certainly only one can be encountered in any one forest. At the end of the block in the book, there is a poem of the Jabberwock by Lewis Carroll, and it says, "Howdy, future me here, currently editing the video. I'm just going to give you a forewarning that I absolutely butcher this poem that I am about to read you in the video, and I mispronounce about 90% of the words. So the poem will be on screen for you to read for yourself and to laugh at me for how many words I get wrong. Alright, back to the video. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, or the claws that catch. Beware the Jub bird, and shun the fumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the maximum foe he sought, so rest he by the Tumtuxen tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in oofish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the Tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O fabulous day, Callihu Calais, he chortled in his joy." I don't know what 3/4 of what that poem says, but it sounds like he killed the Jabberwock. That's all I got from there. The Jabberwock then makes another appearance in the Pathfinder Bestiary 2 book, and it is described as a true creature of legend, a subject of poetry, song and myth in many cultures. It is known to be a devastating creature in combat whose arrival presages time of ruin and violence. In this book we get the first writing saying that the Jabberwock is a creature of the Fey and not the material plane. In Pathfinder, the old Jabba belongs to a category of powerful creatures whose shape and types run the gamut of possibility known as the Tane. Interestingly, in Pathfinder, unlike in previous D&D books, it has no interest in hoarding treasure, but it does bring back treasure to its lair to entice other heroes to seek it out and destroy them. I couldn't really find any more information on the Jabberwock being released in 3rd edition or 4th edition, but if there is anything that I've missed, feel free to let me know in the comments. Moving on to 5th edition, the Jabberwock came into being in the 5th edition, the Wild Beyond Witchlight Feywild adventure module. There isn't a lot written about the Jabberwock in this book, but it states that, like we've read before, that it is a solitary creature and no one actually knows the full description of a Jabberwock. It does say, however, that if a Jabberwock is slain, then another one will appear in 3d8 years, materializing within 1,000 miles of where the old one perished. No young of the Jabberwock has ever been seen, and it appears to not age, unlike in 1st edition where it said that they laid eggs and aged like other dragons. Now we've gone over the history of the Jabberwock, let's go over the stats of the creature in 5th edition. It is classed as a huge, chaotic, evil dragon with an AC of 18 and 115 hit points. It has a speed of 30 feet, a climbing speed of 30 feet, and a flight and swim speed of 30 feet. It carries over its damage vulnerabilities to vorpal weapons, but it also has an immunity to any poison damage. It is immune to being charmed, frightened, and poisoned, and has an ability of true sight up to 120 feet, and has a challenge rating of 13, which is equivalent to that of an adult white dragon or a Rakshasa. Now for the abilities, it has an ability called Confusing Burble, where the Jabberwock burbles to itself unless it is incapacitated. Any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of the Jabberwock is able to hear its burbling must make a DC 18 charisma saving throw. On a failed saving throw, the creature can't take reactions until the start of its next turn, and it rolls a d4 to determine what it does during the current turn. On a 1 to 2, the creature does nothing. On a 3, the creature does nothing except use all of its movement to move in a random direction. and if they roll a 4, the creature either makes one melee attack against a random creature it can see, or does nothing if no visible creatures are within reach. The Jabberwock is classed as a legendary creature, so that means it gains some 3 legendary resistances, and it can use them once a day. It also has the regeneration feature where the Jabberwock regains 10 hit points at the start of its turn, and if the Jabberwock takes slashing damage, this trait doesn't function at the start of its next turn. The Jabberwock truly dies only if it starts its turn with 0 hit points and doesn't regenerate. It gets an ability called Uncanny Tracker where it can unerringly track any creature it has wounded in the last 24 hours. And it knows the distance and direction of its quarry as long as the two of them are in the same plane of existence. So there is no running from this man. Other actions, it gets a multi-attack where it can make 2 rend attacks in one turn. The rend attack is a +10 to hit with a reach of 10 feet and deals 3d10 +5 slashing damage. It also gets a tail attack with again a +10 to hit and a reach of 15 feet, and this deals 1d10 +5 bludgeoning damage. Like other dragons, I will say in quotation it has a breath weapon that it shoots from its eyes instead of its mouth. Unless it is blinded, the Jabberwock emits a 120 foot long, 5 foot wide line of fire from its eyes. Each creature in that line must make a DC 18 dexterity saving throw, taking 7d8 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. It also gets 3 legendary actions that it can take at the start and end of each turn. With 1 action point, it can do a tail attack. At the cost of 2 action points, it can do a rend attack, and at the cost of all 3 action points, it can do a wing attack that hits each creature within 10 feet of the Jabberwock, and they must succeed on a DC 18 dexterity saving throw, or take 1d6 +5 bludgeoning damage and be knocked prone. Even though there's not an immense amount of writings about the Jabberwock, this has become one of my favorite dragons throughout D&D, and I just find it very interesting. You could throw one of these in your game, being a target for a quest given to you by a hag that you've met in the Feywild. Maybe one of your party members made a deal with the hag earlier in the campaign, and she's come to collect on the favor and asked you to infiltrate a Jabberwock's lair to retrieve an item for them. Or you could have a big bad of the Feywild that the party has been hunting for a long time, only to find out that he has a pet Jabberwock that never leaves his side. That is all I have for you guys today on the Jabberwock. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and if there's anything else that I've missed, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. I will also leave links to all the websites I've used for my research on this topic so you guys can read through them yourself. What monster would you want me to cover next? Let me know in the comments below and I'll add your comment at the end of that video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.